This is a Board of Selectmen emergency meeting beginning at 4 o'clock, July 17, 2017. We'll open with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was rushing it.
I almost started laughing when I read that.
The full board is present. Town manager is present. Purpose of this meeting is to review the special town meeting warrant.
I think you all have current copy,
Okay.
and you should have notes from Becky Seal. There should be 2 sets of notes. And I actually have one more thing that from that you emailed me, Mike.
Yeah, I printed copies of that. That page.
Yeah. You have them?
Yep. And I also found the reference to the reserve accounts. I think that's what she was talking about. My concern, as I read this thing, is I feel like some of these articles are lengthy, almost like a wish list. And I just think we need to maybe provide more specificity as to maybe a single item as opposed to a basket of items. And also it appears that maybe some of these will if we have a properly worded article and it passes, the necessity for another article could disappear. Specifically, for example, Article 8 and maybe Article 7, they may not even, depending on how we word the first article, you might not need them. Okay, so that's kind of
My
origins of this.
my question for
Yep.
5.
She wants to start at the top.
Okay.
Work our way down.
Okay.
We're going to choose a moderator. We agree with that. We'll adopt the rules, I assume. Non-residents, obviously. We can
And
let the manager
actually,
speak.
Becky Seal said you don't need that article by law. But if it's something that you feel that they wanted, how much change do you want to do in a day?
Correct.
Right, yeah.
We've always had it there, but
But you don't need it by
don't
law.
need it. Okay.
Yeah, and I only bring this up because we're gonna have other discussions around this logic. The only thing that you risk is, what if they say no? We don't want out-of-towners to speak. There's no basis for that. I mean, we already know that you have a right to speak. So we put this in there implying that we need their permission, and when in truth we don't. I don't have a problem with that article, but that process can lead you into something that you don't really want. But so, because in our case, our town manager couldn't speak.
Aha, right.
Okay.
I see.
So
okay.
we can.
I understand.
To see item 4. To
So
see it. Go
we're
ahead.
going to leave Article 3.
I think for now, if we
Well,
want
the only
to.
thing is they can't stop her because she's not speaking. She's speaking as our town manager, so I don't think this applies.
You could have a big debate about that.
No, I think we did it before. That's why there was something because Ken was in Greenville. I can't remember. I'd have to see if I can find it, but there was conversation about that. But it'd be nice to know for sure.
Yeah, and if I'm a big proponent for the most part. If something isn't required, don't ask for it, because
Right.
you're implying that you need it.
Well,
Right.
there's a state law that already covers that.
Correct.
And I can verify with them.
That non-residents
Seal it.
can speak or can't speak. What does it say?
I think can.
Can. Non-residents that are present can speak, so you don't need to.
Now you might have a motion to not allow it, which is different than asking
Right,
to allow it.
right, because if the law says that that they are allowed to speak, then you'd have to negate that law.
Correct.
It's understood
Right.
that they can speak.
Would be good to know.
It'd be better to go by the law, period, because that's basically what you're just asking the public if they do or don't.
Right, but if
But
the
if it's
law
already
says
law,
we don't, then we shouldn't be asking that. And I'm not as hung up on this as
Right, right.
we're going to get into
I'm
some
gonna leave
others.
that one this time, just
Yeah.
because
Right.
Yeah. Good,
we
good.
don't have time to
Right.
get more info from Becky.
Right,
so
right.
I-
No,
And they do it every year, and every
Right.
year they agree to it.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
see this year will be different.
right, let's, okay.
Article 4, see the town will name the established rec field Sangerville Veterans Memorial. Oddly enough, I guess this has never officially been done.
No, I talked with Joe Rotano, and he said in 1988, him and Dave Kluge didn't care for the current town manager at the time, and so they didn't get permissions from him to do anything, and they named that field Veterans Memorial Field. And then in 1989, the special town meeting that I found, the one vote that I found that mentions the Manley-Haley basketball court, that's the only mention of anything being named. And in the warrant article, it doesn't even mention the field. In the minutes, it does, but not in the warrant article.
So this, I mean, we're basically going with a name that has kind of just stuck.
Right.
So I can't imagine it be very controversial.
Right.
Well, you added the key word to this whole conversation. Will officially need. because
Right.
Right.
That's what we're
Now,
we're
going
not-
forward, that's
correct.
what it will be, if they
It's what
agree.
it's been documented as and everything else.
And likewise, if they don't agree, now it's established that we don't have a name.
Right.
So we can work on that.
Right.
So I don't have a problem with it, Article
Okay, 4.
Now we're getting into the meat and potatoes here. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to approve adding the Wells property approved to purchased by town vote on March 29, 2014 annual town meeting to the established Sangerville Veterans Memorial Park and to use the property in the following manner. That's kind of where I stop on this thing. A portion to be made into a multi-purpose field, a portion to hold a gazebo. The gazebo was approved last year and funded. The multi-purpose field has never, I don't believe has ever been discussed in, even in a budgetary form or at the legislative level. I don't believe it has been. So that needs to be in there.
Yes.
Honestly, myself, and I would even back up to the next page. Get rid of that and the use of the property. Doesn't matter. To me, what I'm looking for is I want the townspeople to say that that property is part of the rec department. And then the next piece is all future use is going to fall under the rec department's budget.
Well, I totally agree. The first part of that is the meat of this.
But that's what I'm saying,
Right.
though. It's that's what we really, because whatever verbiage we put after that, the rec department is gonna have to get this approved.
Well, and see, Jason came to me today and he says, if they want to do grants, and that's Article 9,
Yeah.
is to search for grants. They're going to look for a grant to do the walking trail. They're going to look to a grant to see if they can get the bathhouses and such. So if you don't allow that part of the article, then you're not allowing them to search for grants for those items. That's their argument. Maybe if you want to reword Article 9 to say that that's what the grants are going to be looking for. Because then if they get the grant, then you still got to go back to town meeting and have the townspeople vote
Go
to
for it.
allow
Correct.
the bathhouses.
If you got a grant
and-
for a nature trail,
Right.
the town would have to agree to accept the grant.
Well, that's what Article 9 is to say that it's allowing you guys to accept grants for any future purposes.
My biggest thing is, the sole purpose of this special really is mainly because of the situation we're at with
Right.
receiving these donations and because we need to clean up a little bit on Happy Fowler.
Yes.
Happy Fowler
Is the primary.
We
Right,
need to
right,
bring
that's
that back.
correct.
So we-
Right,
yeah.
So,
Right.
we're in the middle, end of July. A lot of these other verbiages aren't gonna happen this year. So I don't really, I think my opinion is, we're almost using the special for a lot of things that can wait for regular.
Okay.
And should be a part of the regular.
And part of the budgetary process.
And part of the budgetary process.
Okay.
Not because we got a special and we're gonna try to cram everything we can.
That's kind of what it feels like when you read it in its current form to me.
It is to me, because we got 11 articles and 2 of them are because of the heavy power. So we went,
Right.
what we was trying to do was kind of going to a completely different place.
Okay, so let's go back. We agreed with to 4. If you take 5 and you end it at Veteran Memorial Park, that is a very succinct step. We have now joined the 2 pieces of property together,
Yeah, that's,
right?
That's the number 1 goal of that conversation.
Right. So now the question is, what's the next article that we need? So can we agree that Article 5 is establishing those 2 pieces as being together in one piece of property?
Okay.
Okay? And it's a logical sequence too, based on what we did with Article 4.
No, and I agree with that, but I just hope they all realize that by doing that, that means anything we do is under rec department budget.
Yes, I think again that's self-evident. They have the gazebo has been set up with a reserve account. They did that in town meeting. That's established. We don't need to reestablish it. Now there is some question about getting to those funds, but I think you and I agree that reserve accounts can be spent by the select board as long as they're for the purpose that they were set up. Maybe we're getting ahead here, but
I just don't want them, okay, let's say the town approves that property to be part of the rec.
right.
but it doesn't say that in the article. All it says is it's adding it to the established, Sangerville Veterans Memorial Park.
But that
But
would,
is
that
that-
would mean that would be part of that recreational area.
Yeah, that recreational area falls under the rec department. They have
Okay,
So that would,
jurisdiction.
So they have
Their
sole-
budget maintains it.
okay, so that's.
Develops it.
understood.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just,
That's
Yeah.
kind of a question. There's nobody else that has any.
any claim
no, I mean,
to that,
Parks and Rec is Parks and Rec, so
Okay.
if you're moving this to the rec department.
that we're giving it to, we're
it's
basically
going to the
giving
Parks and
them.
Rec.
We bought that piece of property a few years ago.
Right,
We never really officially agreed to the multi-purpose field that is 90% done.
Right.
They did agree to a gazebo purchase, but they didn't really agree to a location.
Mm-hmm.
By taking that piece of property and putting them together, you're not gonna put it anywhere you want over there.
No, but that's the problem, is they did. The gazebo is approved for the Veterans Memorial Field.
Right.
Which is
right.
only the
is-
left-hand
The
side.
left-hand side, not the right-hand side.
So
and they are gonna put it on the right-hand side.
when you
Right.
put the 2 together, you could put it anywhere you want in there.
Okay.
Okay? So that kind of solves a lot of loose ends.
Right,
The real loose end that is, there's no way to fix it other than this field has never been approved.
No spending on that side of the property has ever been approved.
That's correct, other than the money we just spent.
Right, everything that's been done on that side has always been said, it will be 100% donation, 100% non-taxpayer funds.
But even
As we
that,
have-
if you read the law, that shouldn't have been done that way. You needed the legislative body to approve donations to make a field,
Correct,
and we didn't do that.
I understand that.
So it's our one little
wow,
thorny issue
Yeah.
that we really want to clean up.
clean up, right.
That's why I like the black and white verbiage. So everybody, because I
It's
seem to
clear,
understand,
yeah.
I get very confused because people don't seem to understand that everything they're trying to do is unbudgeted. It's like they can just spend money.
Right, no, well, definitely, that's the attitude that's conveyed in these meetings. Like,
yeah.
come on,
Oh,
where's-
yeah.
this is
It's our money.
Kids. So, okay, so I guess are we clear with Article 5 that basically puts the 2 pieces of property together? That's what we're asking the town if they want to do that.
Yep. Yep.
Structurally and financially, yes.
Now, the rest of that article, do we need any of it? I mean, essentially, they're asking, that what he's done here is he's trying to glom on permission for the multipurpose field in Article 5. Do we want to address the multipurpose field?
It'd be too late to address it. We already spent it.
Yeah, in fact,
And if you make that Wells property into part of that, it doesn't matter, because then it's all recognized.
then it's all solved, so.
That's kind of my other part of it.
So don't go into the details. Just put them
Well, not
together.
only that, I
and-
mean, there's a lot of things in that detail, you know. It's in black and, like, for me personally, when I read this, I think any type of a structured bathhouse up there is not really the best interest of the town. There's a lot of other opportunity things you could do cheaper, and other ideas come out of that. But what I'm afraid of is if we leave that verbiage on there, and this got approved, you just,
Locked
Yeah,
in.
it's locked in.
For me,
And I don't want to lock in something like that.
the only
Point.
item remaining that, follows up there, the only item that seems justified is the multipurpose field. Do we make mention of that? Do we acknowledge that in this portion of the article, or do we separate it, or we just
I would
ignore
see
it?
where we keep going. I would think the importance of that article is to merge that property.
I agree with
Okay,
that.
so that's that article.
But do we address the multipurpose field in any place on this warrant?
I think it'll be a topic of conversation when you get into donations. That's where I think it's gonna be talked about.
We
Because of you.
were authorized last meeting to take donations for what? Were we, last town meeting, did we get the authority?
Just says authorized to accept donations.
Period.
Period. Some of those donations have come in with the tag of multipurpose field, have they not?
They have, and I've got that one.
Which technically doesn't even exist.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. When we get into that, I think Article 5, just worry about what we need to do.
We're done with
Yeah,
Article
okay.
5.
Right.
The question is, do we create an article that addresses
Right.
this field?
I
Right,
think you're gonna do it when you talk about the donations, because you legitimately have donations
right,
earmarked for recreational field.
right.
We have already spent money for the recreational field because knowingly we have these donations and knowing that we couldn't put our hands on them and we had a bill.
A bill, right.
So we could spend that funds.
Except the project has never been approved.
That's no doubt about it.
So do we want to get approval for a project that is already 90% done?
It's 99.
Right, I think we probably should.
But what if they don't approve it?
Good question. That's why, and I don't really have the answer to that. I mean, essentially what we're doing
There's not a
here
dollar
is
supposedly-
tacit approval.
Yeah,
You didn't
yeah,
say
yeah,
no,
yeah.
so we asked you for funding. So,
Yeah,
I mean, that's another approach, but I'm not really, that's,
right.
I'm still curious what it's gonna cost. I mean, I was up there this morning looking around.
They're still,
That's a huge piece of ground to be paying someone to mow.
And they seeded it on Saturday.
They did? Really?
The big field, yeah.
you'll be cutting grass in 3
we're
weeks.
getting weather like this every
Yeah.
day.
Well, the hydroseed really goes.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
It didn't look like it was seeded.
I was there.
Probably because it's torrential rainfall we got
I
yesterday.
don't know. I was looking at the rocks and the sticks out there. I was thinking, I wish, you really probably should have picked that stuff out and gone around with a rake and smoothed a little. But
It was hydro seeded?
Yeah,
That was what they said they were gonna do.
they
Is that
did
what they
it.
did?
They
Yeah.
did it.
So, but that's a budgetary issue. We're gonna have to, I think we're gonna,
well, it's going to come out of the rec department if it's approved.
as long as they got the money,
For what, the mowing?
yeah. And we could come out of these donations too.
If you look at what's up there right now, from from that driveway to the pond, for that depth, it's close to what they're already mowing.
I would say you almost doubled your mowing budget
Yeah,
over
it's
there.
got to be close.
Yeah. That's a big field.
I'm
So,
not sure where. I can't remember what Orman's number was, but
What, to mow that?
but I'm sure it's.
Okay.
so back to our dilemma. Do we officially address this field, or do we go the kind of the tacit approval? We ask them for permission to accept donations for a field that everybody knows is there. And if we're going to address the field, we need to have some pretty good language too. I mean, really.
Well, Article 6 was written by Becky Seal.
Yes, that's right. Oh, she had it as Article 5 in her email.
Yeah, because
Right,
I had
okay.
added number 4.
Oh.
I like this.
Still doesn't officially mention.
No,
But it certainly is an opportunity for people to raise their hand and
But
say,
you're gonna get questions, because everybody's been told that field is free.
yeah, I understand.
So,
I was one of them that was questioning it. I didn't understand, though, when I was an observer on the budget committee and they were talking about go ahead and do what you can do as long as you don't spend any town money, I didn't know that you couldn't do that.
so
But you can spend the reserves. And this is putting that fundraising money into the reserves.
Yeah, assuming that's a sanctioned project for just the sake of this discussion,
but to,
we can spend reserves on it once it's put together.
right.
and I personally, I understand that we can, but to me, the reserve is there for a future planned need, or a emergency, the fence got wiped out, or we're gonna put X amount in because we wanna do this ahead. I don't care for the idea of a committee planning on spending a reserve and never budgeting it, never mentioning it to us.
Well, but you just
That's-
made the point, and that is,
I would approve to spend.
we have the authority.
Correct.
So you might say, I was thinking for a future thing, so I don't think we should spend this, and
Right.
we might think, and then we vote, but they can't spend any money
Right.
without us, but we can spend it.
Right.
Correct.
We don't need the legislative
That's the
body.
problem.
And they've already spent it.
They have come to us and said, we
Yeah, we've got it
overspent.
all,
We were
we're-
forced to hand, honestly.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
Because you couldn't take it out of the, you couldn't, because I thought of this earlier, before that meeting that night, my original thought was, geez, I don't really want to take this out of reserve, I'm gonna take this out of, would rather take it out of the rec budget, and then when the rec budget depletes, and you have to do you know what I mean, then you take out of reserves the little bit we would need. But we couldn't have done that, because that's not part of the rec. So, that wasn't, so I guess even actually taking it out of the rec reserve was a little iffy.
Well, particularly since it went to a piece of property that wasn't part of the rec.
Correct. Didn't think of that part.
All right.
But it was an honest mistake. So these articles are going to fix that.
Right. Just
Hopefully.
housekeeping.
So back to Article 6.
Okay.
Those donations those are accurate numbers. We've got that money there. We do need permission. Actually, we don't need permission to spend these
Right, Article
donations.
7 we can take off. I would suggest removing Article 7 because you already have that authority by law. And
Yes.
Well, as long as the town
The multi-
approves to put that as part of the rec field. See, that's where this whole thing is gonna get confused. This is where this is gonna go
Wait,
very
say that
bad.
again, say that
Yeah,
again.
so if they don't approve the Wells property to be part of the,
Oh, geez.
This whole thing is
then
done.
you have to have
Oh.
Article 7.
No, basically your articles go boom, 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 boom.
They're all done.
In fact, I don't even know if there's a process. These are really sub-articles.
They are,
If
they
4
are.
passes,
Then we can
But if
really
it
go
doesn't,
on.
we don't even need to address it.
Right. It's,
And I don't know if there's a structure like that, but it would be helpful,
You
actually.
can do that. You can put a note in there that says if Article 4 does not pass,
skip to.
skip.
Go right to 7.
Or,
Grab a hot dog and leave.
Because even Article 6, you're not gonna put that money into recreational reserve if 5 isn't approved.
Correct. Not in that language.
And I say, write them as written for them to be approved as we need them to be. And then-
In the sequence.
in the sequence. And if 5 doesn't pass, then these guys are locked until next year. I mean,
And then we've got some work to do. 'Cause
Right.
We've got, projects that have been half started and we got all
well,
kinds
what
of.
else? Either that, I mean, we could have Article 6 is to put donations in the recreational reserve.
We already have this money, so we gotta figure out a way to get at it. But
Or
right.
what if we,
See, if you read, this was what
See,
Lois
that's
and
the
I were talking
problem, though,
about
is a lot of
earlier.
these donations were either donated to the Veterans Memorial Park, which isn't that property. They were donated to the, so that one's easy, that one's gonna go in the rec reserve. And then you've got the funds that are donated to the gazebo, and we now have that reserve, so that one's easy. So what's the other, what's our third, is that the only two categories you have for?
Reserves for, is that what you're talking about, the
Yeah.
reserves?
Veterans Park Project. And a $50 unknown donation came in, so they just put it into the rec.
So unknown, we could
Right.
just, yeah.
And then a pirate rec donation came in specifically for the stumping project, which is the multipurpose field.
That's Wells property.
Key Bank came in, $250. It just says donation.
To Parks and Rec,
Just says donation, yeah.
to the town. That's not even gonna go into the Park and Rec period.
And Camden Bank came in. No, but you can take these. If we have this printed to go with the articles,
That's
With that
solicited
total-
donations for rec.
Yeah,
Okay.
So I mean,
Right.
even if it's not designated, I mean, that's recreation.
They-
Those guys
they
solicited
went
to
after
get-
it.
Yes,
Right.
they did.
Well, in fact, in this chapter 8, it says specifically that officers have quite an impact soliciting donations for a specific project that's already been approved. You could go to Dexter Lumber and say, would you donate the lumber?
Sure.
We don't need town approval to take it because they've already approved the gazebo, and then we can utilize it. And we have a total right to do that.
I see.
Same thing with money. So we don't really need authority to spend donations on a project that has already been approved. The gazebo would be the
That's the
best
only one.
example,
Right.
That's
really.
the only example.
Well, rec in general, if you have a rec department, someone could say, we've donated $2,000 to your rec department.
And
We could
can
accept it because
And-
our town has already approved a rec department. And we funded
Right,
it.
we just need to put it in the reserve so we can do that. Because
Right.
right now, they're all sitting in general fund.
Correct. But I don't know that we really need permission from the voters to move those donations in, because they are specifically for either rec that has already been approved by the town
And the
or the
gazebo.
gazebo.
So you don't think Article 6 is necessary, really?
It seems like it might not be.
I just have a question.
No, that one is specifically because she said,
I think
Becky
you have to
said
have that.
we had to have that.
Okay. Is there any opposition,
Right,
just
in this paragraph.
going back to Article 1, have you ever heard any opposition to that Wells property?
Oh,
being-
hell yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, this could get interesting. I mean, this went in front of the
Will-
town 3 years in a row to buy this.
Oh, I know that.
And every year this gets discussed, you're not spending town funds on that field.
And I was, like I said, that was a pretty contentious budget year. The idea that they were gonna clear and start planting, I remember talking to others, like, who's gonna mow this? Well, we'll just bush hog it.
That's what we was told last year,
Oh.
they stumped it and they're gonna bush hog it.
Oh, wow.
So and then they've done a great job,
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
volunteers,
yeah,
but
but
it's not
they're over
free.
their head. And now they-
The town,
They have bills, they're
a
approved
commitment
bills.
is being
Right,
created.
Right.
If everything was free, you've taken the recreational budget and you've doubled the mowing commitment. So
That's true, too.
without
Right
saying
there, right
anything
there.
else,
That's
no
right.
other funds other than mowing grass, you've doubled that cost.
But
That's
most
right.
importantly, even if it was all free, you still needed the town's approval. We didn't get
Never
it,
has happened.
Okay.
and that's kind of the part that's
So do you need
still,
an
Okay.
article that says that you're gonna create this multi-purpose field?
almost seems that way.
Now,
I know it seems silly because it's sitting there.
all right.
I think if it's under rec department, it doesn't matter, it's rec.
But the field needs to be officially there for us to fund it. And that has not ever happened correctly. That's my concern. But if no one squawks,
What are you gonna do if they say no? That's my question.
then everything stops.
You already spent $4,000.
Yep, yep. As long as you did it with good intent.
That's right.
Use a donation to replace it.
Yeah.
Yeah, or-
I
Might
mean,
have
that's
to.
kind of, I mean, that's going in the reserve account anyway.
Yep.
And to me, honestly, well, I mean, now that I think about it, it's not so much you're approving what's been done, you're approving to fund it going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're either gonna bush hog it twice a year.
Or not, you
or
might
you're
just let it grow in.
But I mean, or you're gonna mow it every other week.
Right.
That's an expense.
Right. But if they don't put it, look, you take it to the extreme. If the first article doesn't pass and it doesn't become part of the rec field, you might not be doing anything over there. So,
What did we have for actual earmarked donations towards the supposed field? Not rec, not gazebo,
multi-purpose field.
multi-purpose field.
They're not.
That's not a one problem.
Oh, there was a couple.
It's 500, 100, 2,000,
2,600.
1,500,
So
and
it's
then
Yeah.
another 1,250 from Steinke and Camden Bank, and another 50 from an unknown.
Okay, so it's way
So that's
overfunded.
1,300. more.
What do you mean, way overfunded?
To date, they've got donations way
Donations.
more than what they've spent.
5,400 on just that part.
More than what we just spent out of
Right,
reserve.
right.
You're saying we can
So that's
replenish
good.
our
That's good.
reserves.
Yeah, that's good.
By about a grand.
Except, sorry,
So, no, sorry.
except if we spent that reserve on a piece of property
Right.
that
Correct.
was never should have been spent on the,
But at least we can, the donations are there and,
But if they don't approve the property, then how you can,
Well,
you
then
can't
it
put it
all
back in
stops.
the
yeah,
rest
but at
of it.
least we're whole.
but it's not, that's right.
Yeah.
But I think, Dale, your suggestion as far as going forward, I mean, it is where it is, we know that. So maybe that's what the article needs to read.
Because I mean, I mean, there's definitely donated funds to do what they've spent.
Yes.
So that's, I can see the yes, approved, not approved. So that's not really the question to me. The question is going forward, you know, and it's the same way, even the biggest part of the gazebo. The, whatever cost of the gazebo, that's one thing. But what's the 10-year cost and the
Right,
15-year
maybe.
cost?
Yeah, well, that's a
Maintenance.
budgetary process.
Correct, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's also
Yep.
should be part of, you know, the town's already said we're gonna build a gazebo, so the people are already willing to spend that money for the next 10, 20 years or whatever. But if you don't have a conversation about
Right,
the field,
right, right, right.
I'm not worried about this $4,000 here. You're gonna spend way more than that over the next 10 years just mowing it.
Yep.
That's my concern.
But, so it has to be, but it has to be sanctioned. It has to
Right,
be a
right, right.
real project.
I agree. So we
It's
need
almost, it's a
to,
capital improvement, why would
Yes, it
you?
is. Yep. But we never got permission for it.
so we need to,
Now, we either include it in a, like I said, kind of a tacit approval. Okay, you've Article 6, you've basically approved us soliciting donations for the multipurpose field and the gazebo. That's kind of tacit approval. We didn't take this out separately. Right.
Well, it doesn't say multi-purpose field. It says Veterans Memorial Park / field. I can change that and
Or
say.
it could slash multipurpose field.
Well, I can do that. The multi-purpose field located on Veterans Memorial Park Act.
well, but we don't know that until Article 5 passes.
Well, assuming it does, because if it
Yeah,
doesn't, then we
okay,
don't have to
okay.
worry about it.
That's, you
I
really
have to
gotta write
assume
this in
that-
the direction that you're in
Yep.
hopes.
They leapfrog each
If
other.
that doesn't
Okay.
pass, then we're just, when this next article,
Happy follow.
Yeah, that's right.
where we go.
That's right.
I don't know how we're gonna do that, so but that's what we're gonna
The
do.
one reason I think that, there's a piece of paper that is in front of you, the authority of municipal officers to accept cash gifts to the municipality. And it says, and for the most part, you can't, but there is an exception. And I think that the exception may apply, certainly to the gazebo. But it says the municipal officer can accept money without voter approval. And it is to supplement a specific appropriation already made or to reduce the tax assessment to endow a municipal education foundation or permanent debt. A common example, and this common example is like exactly what we're doing. Appropriate $10,000 for a new town playground or recreation complex. And civic groups or individuals want to make further cash donations. The municipal officers can accept those gifts without voter approval. I mean, They could have put gazebo in there.
That's right.
Accepting the gift isn't the problem. We've already been approved to accept.
Correct. And we can also spend the money without voter approval. It's in the same piece. These cash gifts, regardless of the amount, must be voted on by the municipal officers and deposited in the treasurers before they can be spent. However, they cannot be given directly to the municipal committee. We already know that. We want oversight. So that means if you get a big donation for the multipurpose field or the gazebo, the committee doesn't get to decide how that's used.
Right.
We do.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And that's very clear. It's put in the bank, maintained.
Right.
That's not maintained by the committee. We get to spend that money.
And spent or put in the bank account maintained by the committee,
That's what I was just looking at.
it says.
Yeah.
Or put in a bank account maintained by the committee,
Oh,
which we don't do,
Okay, okay,
because they're a committee of the town, they're not an
Okay.
individual committee.
okay.
Some towns, their
That's-
rec committee is a 501c3.
Right. There's a municipal committee, not a.
So, setting aside the ambiguity around the multipurpose field and its status, if we just go with the rec department in general and the gazebo, we clearly have the authority to take donations for
Right.
that and spend them
Correct,
without legislative approval.
right.
The problem, though, is a lot of these donations were received last year.
Before the project was approved.
Before the gazebo project was approved?
We were collecting donations before we actually had approved the project.
Yeah, this is from September of
We
2015.
we technically never approved a project. What was approved
Was
the
a
funds.
gazebo, right.
The funds-
To pay for a gazebo,
Correct.
period.
That's what was approved.
The Sangerville Days Reserve was approved to be used for a gazebo.
Correct.
Yes.
But not project, gazebo.
And I'll bring this up because it may come up. There are people who were not happy with that. They did, in fact, Irving said to me he didn't think it was legal for that reserve to be moved directly to another reserve. Now, I don't know what mechanism they thought that we could or couldn't use, but there are people who were involved in that Sangerville Days who were not happy that that money was taken away. They felt that that money should stay for future celebrations or whatever.
That's a lot of that stuff that I've read about is you can do that when a committee or a whatever ends. So that was designated for a specific reason. It wasn't an open-ended project. So I understand what he's saying, but I would question if, because of that reserve already should have been gone and gone back in a general fund when it ended. Well, they didn't, but.
Right, and that may be all he's talking about is that maybe we missed a step. Maybe it needed to go from there to general, from general to, you can't just go from
Reserve.
One to
reserve to
reserve.
reserve. I don't
think it
know.
matters.
It wouldn't seem like it would, but we also took back Abby Fowler without permission.
Oh, let's not talk about
So, as far as that article goes, it looks to me like we don't need it, but maybe we want it, I guess.
6. I would do it. Becky specifically wrote this
Well,
one.
it also has the added benefit of addressing the field.
It's a very
Yes.
good time to bring up the field and funds
Yes,
that was
yeah.
Yeah.
spent.
So do we
and how
want
they
to
were
pull-
spent and
Do you want to just?
Almost like prescriptive.
Yeah. Slash field, or do we want to be more?
Well, I can say designated specifically for a multi-purpose field at Sangerville Veterans Memorial Park.
I like that.
Okay.
Okay.
yeah, that would be good.
Because that's saying we're taking these
Yep.
funds for that purpose.
And we still control purse strings.
That's correct.
So what will actually happen going forward, once we get all these articles done, a donation comes in, we have to approve it, and then we approve it going into the reserve. So we don't have to do this going forward.
Correct.
Correct.
Article 7, are you on Article 7?
Yep. We don't need that.
You don't need it. It's just kind
It
of.
already says, the law already says
in
that
the
we have the
card.
authority to spend the reserves. That was the example I was talking about.
Yeah,
We don't want to
yeah.
give them the impression that we
No.
need this permission,
No,
so
no.
strike it.
Yep, and that was the one that I was questioning out.
Same thing with 8.
Same, right?
8, no, because 8 is saying the gazebo reserves
Oh,
fund
oh,
can
oh.
only be spent on the gazebo. And if you have any funds left over, they want to know what they can do with it.
To me, this is a conversation to have after the project.
I think,
After town.
I think
okay.
8 gets
So
struck.
let's
It's a
strike-
budgetary thing.
Because I can
well,
see
We can
this,
take it to
But I can see it
another
two
town
ways.
meeting.
yes, because I can see what'll happen. I've got 14 grand, you're only gonna let me spend it on a gazebo? I'm gonna build the nicest gazebo I possibly can.
Yeah.
Or, you're gonna let me have the money back?
Yeah, ooh, we're gonna build a really inexpensive
Yeah, we're
gazebo
gonna
because
build
we have
one-
another plan.
That's right, I need
We need to
$5,000
buy
for
that
something
water
else.
fountain.
Yeah, so I think really, that's a conversation for after the fact.
Yeah.
It's no different than the Sangerville days.
Now,
When they got
Correct.
done, they had 14,000 left, and the town voted to do something else with it.
Correct,
The
that's,
town shouldn't be giving away its rights on this money for any reason.
right,
You finish the project, you do it,
And then-
and we're gonna help you finish this project. We're
Right.
not gonna just buy any old gazebo.
right.
So I just think that that's superfluous.
Yep, yep.
now, you just brought up a really good, if we move this property over to the rec department, technically that falls under rec budget for the remainder of the year.
Mhm.
Everything we're talking about is unbudgeted.
Correct.
So
But we can
they're
use these
gonna have-
donations to mow.
Correct, but that's what I'm saying though, they're not gonna be able to spend anything unless they come to us
Well,
first.
that's why I'm very comfortable with all, if one step leads to the next step, we're gonna have plenty of money to mow that field. Now, these guys are gonna be disappointed because they think they're gonna build horseshoe pits. But that won't, not until we've got our maintenance
Right.
covered. And we'll have plenty of money to do it.
Well, and at the end of the conversation is you got budgetary next year. I mean, rec budget is this now. Next year, if we roll this into one and you go to town meeting and you think you're gonna add $2,500 to it so you can mow grass,
Maybe not,
Yeah.
maybe not.
right? Maybe you come up with a more creative way to fund those activities over there.
Correct.
But that's a budgetary
Correct,
discussion.
yep, that's one.
So we don't need that on there. So we just got rid of 7 and 8.
Yep, yep.
I'm unclear as to, do they need a specific item to seek grants, or can they just look for general permission to look for grants? In other words, walking trail grant, or can you just see what's available in grants?
Well, because this also allows, if they get the grant, part 2 of this is it allows the selectmen to accept the grant, and 3, to appropriate those grant funds to the rec reserves.
Or not?
Or not. And it just kind of, we know they're going for grants. I know they're going for the walking trail. I know they're going to try and do a bathhouse.
But I guess my question, do they need legislative approval
Didn't you have to have legislative approval for the Abbey Fowler remediation grant?
only if we proceeded? In other words, they come to us with a walking path grant, and the 3 of us say, that's a great idea. Then we could have a special, or depending on where it is, we take it to town meeting, and we get, but they come to us with a trout pond grant, and we say, no,
Yeah.
we're not interested. So we don't need to go to the legislative
What I'm
body.
thinking, even differently
Right.
from this, is if we move that property over to the recreational department. I don't remember ever approving the fire department to write grants for that government money for them. No different than if, you know what I mean, any other, because the then they're a body of the town, it falls under that department head.
Right.
So I don't think that's, you know, the committee is a committee, as long as it stays the Wells field and they got a committee organize it, then I guess maybe there's some permission needed. But once that moves over to there, then that's all underneath that one.
Correct.
Round,
If the
that's
rec
not-
department has a good-looking grant, and is a viable project, and we advance it, it's going to end up before the legislative body. But do you need legislative approval to even look? And that's really what they're asking for, and I don't think you do.
And that's what this is
To
saying,
seek
right?
out and apply.
Well,
It's almost like they
apply.
want us to approve them, should they get them.
I'm not approving anything because you don't know what they're looking for.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, it says accept and accept.
So the legislative body said that you guys have to accept these grants. I can see that. It's kind of like saying, we
I
want a
think
bathhouse
I
with
think you
power and
have
running
to
water.
Go,
Commit you to all of that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm worried now.
all right.
I didn't think of that, honestly.
That's the mindset.
Well, right, I mean, because one and allow the board to accept the grant funds. I mean, it's one thing to seek out and apply for grants, but then there's 2 and 3.
Right.
You know, and then appropriate the grant funds. So,
My only question is, do they need legislative approval to even
Look
look
for a
at
grant.
grants? I don't think you do. You would need legislative approval to accept one, to advance one, but to just look, to
And
just
apply.
talk.
and apply.
I don't know if you need it to receive.
No, because I know the fire department can do like the Stephen King grant, and you don't know it until you get it.
Well,
And then you
the
just
Abbey
have to
Fowler
take it
grant had
to-
a lot of strings.
That's
think that was
completely,
different.
totally different though.
Right.
I
But
don't-
it'd be like a charitable donation. If
That's-
someone said, if the Lieber Foundation said, hey, we will build those walking trails for you, we would need the legislative body to approve it.
Right,
Yes.
right,
You
Right.
can't take property or money unless it's attached to an already approved project.
right.
But we
Okay?
already approved it, we can accept donation.
We can accept donations
Donations,
for
this is a
these
grant.
projects, but, and if it's attached to a project that's already been approved, we don't need legislative
That's
approval.
fine.
No, but every year in the regular town meeting, we do that about, should we change that verbiage to cover us once a year, right there?
Well, that's possible, but for this meeting,
Yeah.
I don't think,
I don't think anybody's gonna write a grant at the end of July and have it come through before January.
I really
before
think this
April.
is an
That
attempt
is
to
correct.
corral us.
Right,
I don't think we.
and give them carte blanche.
Yep. Hey, they said we could get a
We
grant,
can
they
do
said you
it,
would
and
approve
they
it.
have to
I mean,
accept it,
seriously? I
and
mean,
then we
you
have
see
to
where you get-
appropriate.
It's gonna take them all winter to do applications.
Yeah.
All winter,
So I mean, they're not gonna get anything approved between now and April, right?
correct.
So this is a
Unlikely.
town meeting conversation.
That's my point.
All right, so
Or this is a clarification to have ready so we know the answer for town meeting. It doesn't have to be.
By the time,
crammed in.
they're gonna have
Yeah.
to get it by us first. We're gonna have to like the idea.
all right, so we want to remove 9.
Yep. This thing is getting clean.
Yeah.
So 10.
Just going back to 9, did they ask for this? Right, oh,
Yeah,
I
they did.
see, I got that, yeah.
Now, I will totally change my position if you can find for me that you can't even look.
Seek and apply.
what's
Seek and
available
apply.
without permission.
Yeah.
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah.
But I think that,
Right.
I think what's going on here though is you have two different conversations. I think as a committee, they may need permission to seek. But once this property is approved by the RAC, by a department within the town, it's the same as the fire department. I don't believe you have to have permission. I don't even know if you have.
I see what you're saying. Because the Wells property is not a part of the rec department, so then they would
Correct,
have to
it's
look for,
Right.
you'd have to have permission, but because once we,
Once we put it
Once
under
it's
the,
on, a rec director could seek grants.
His own grant.
He's
I mean,
still
Jimmy can do that I would think he should have that authority right now. He should have the ability to look for whatever grant he needs to for his recreational budget facility.
Right, and if he
projects.
lands on something really compelling, he's gonna bring it to us.
Right.
And if we like it, we'll advance it, and it may ultimately go.
So to me, I mean, we're cutting all these off from here, but we're not cutting them off from here because
No.
if it approves and that's part of rec, it answers all these questions all on
right,
its own.
right.
Well, I just don't, some people will see that, oh, you're taking all this off the warrant. It's not really taking it
You
off the
didn't really
warrant.
need it.
Right,
It's,
Right.
it's not needed.
right.
So we're down to 2 for 2.
good.
10, to see if the town will vote to accept the gift of the, okay, we know we have to do this one. The horse is kind of out of the barn on this, so, but that's okay. I'm sure they'll vote to do this. They know it's a
We're just gonna
procedural
need to
thing.
explain what happened and why we have to have it here.
There was a
Do we have
question
to
on the
do that?
deed, though.
Pardon?
The quit claim versus a warranty deed.
We have no choice on Article 10, it is a quit claim deed.
That's
period.
how we got rid of it. That's how we're gonna take it back.
That's
a
how
question.
Matt brought it back.
Was it
He didn't want to spend the money to get, other than a quick claim.
and I think
And
a
we
quit claim
questioned
is
that.
fine in this particular instance. Question Article 11 is the one where we want to question, do you want to give a quit, do you want to, when you sell it, do you want to give a quit claim or do you want to give a warranty? And the quit claim that we received from back, it says it's with covenants. Now, I don't know if the original deed had covenants.
Oh,
Do you know what they are?
No.
Doesn't matter though, does it?
Definitely probably does. I mean, why wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, it always has problems, right?
Oh my God.
Oh, and there was a name that was spelled incorrectly. It's like, really, Matt? Really?
But it doesn't really matter. We still need their approval to do it.
Right.
And if we want to do a warranty, if we had a buyer that required a warranty deed, we could pursue that. We'd need authority to spend the money on that probably, but
Correct, and see, that's where you would want this wording in question 11. Do you want to give a quit claim for the buyer or a warranted or?
Or do we have to delegate that or designate?
Becky suggested we do say, she wrote a lot.
We define what
But we
type
can
of-
always
What's the cost
revisit it.
difference? Seriously, I mean, the cost difference isn't huge.
Depends on how
Probably
thorny your
double.
deed is.
Double?
But we only paid $175 for the quit claim, so you're talking like $300 or $400 for a warranty.
That's what I'm saying. That's why my conversation was about the quit claim, because it was a warranted when this all started.
Why we
This
switched
just,
to a-
that was always with the school, then it went to the town. This wasn't a piece of property that was gonna cost you all kinds of money, because it went to 500 owners. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the legality of all the research was very minimal. So that's why I didn't agree with the quit claim when we,
Took it back
yeah.
How did we dispose of it though? Quit claim.
to the Historical
Yeah,
Society.
I think it went quit claim. I don't believe.
It wasn't?
I don't
We
believe.
should get, but the cost to go to a warranty is on the Historical Society?
No, I think the town has to pay that. I think that's
Okay.
part of the deal.
That seems only fair. I mean, they didn't want anything to do with it anyway.
Correct.
They just got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was pretty certain that this was always a warranty deed right up until the Historical Society getting it back to here, and our former interim town manager wanted to go quit claim to save cost,
Yeah, all right.
because it's faster, easier, cheaper.
But I mean, you're right, if it's $100, why even question it?
It's not
If
I
it's
don't,
$1,000, then
Yeah,
maybe you.
I can't imagine, like I said, I mean, I just named the people that have owned that property for the last 30 years.
Yep.
So,
It shouldn't be.
and it's always been warranty.
And it came from an SAD.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
it was town property, it was, SAD property, then it was town property, then it went to Historical Society, now it's back to us. That wraps up 30 years right there anyway. Actually, I think that was built in the 70s, so. I think
It
that-
says
Did you go to
municipal
elementary
release
school
deed.
there?
Yep.
You did?
Says
Yeah.
what?
Municipal release deed.
I don't even know what that is.
It's not even a warranty deed. Or a quit claim.
What's that mean?
It just says the town
That's
doesn't
what we
have
have
any
now, you mean?
interest. No, that's when we gave it to the Historical Society.
Okay.
So Becky advised this language that we see in 11.
Yes, 10 and 11.
Now, if you had a buyer that required a warranty deed, you could then go back and get one.
With a special.
Right. Or you could just get a warranty deed to start with.
Correct.
That's the question that we've got to decide. And I if I knew the difference in cost, it would be easy.
Or can you word it that you're gonna let it go as a quit claim unless,
Buyer.
I don't like that.
Yeah,
I
me
don't know,
neither.
I don't like
Foot on
unless or
horseback.
but, or,
Yeah, no.
It always-
that's-
Just,
So, I guess if
Can you think of
Becky's
any-
comfortable with quit claim, maybe we should be.
that's the other side of it, is we know the history of the building. Why wouldn't a quit claim work on it? And what type of, is there any reference where a quit claim wouldn't work on a seller?
That's
If
what,
I
The bank
think
has
if-
been,
I think a bank requires warranty.
so if there was financing involved, that's going to end up being done anyway. But
I
And you
would think the
wonder-
sale of the property would be faster with a warranty over a quick, if financing was a
Yep.
stipulation down the road.
right, but you under something like a foundation, whether in their bylaws, things like that have to be, like the Libra Foundation, it has to be a warranty.
right, then if you knew that, you would
Yeah.
definitely want one.
Yeah.
I guess if
Yeah.
I knew it was a 100 or two, I would say let's just do it. But I'm afraid that it's 1,000
Yeah.
or 10,000. I don't know.
Oh, it wouldn't be 10,000.
And we took it back we know that when we took it back, it's a quick claim.
Yes, I have it.
Okay. So then, to then go back to a warranty deed, now
Yeah, I don't know what
that-
that does because what
Yeah.
we got was a quit.
Right. I don't think
But
it's,
before it was.
it's just a research thing.
That's all it is.
It's just a research thing. It's not anything that they,
So they'd only have to go back to the transaction prior to our giving it to the
right, and
Historical
the
Society.
Historical Society president would probably have to sign off, we'd have to sign off.
Okay, so
and
it's
they'd have
not,
to
it's
warranty
not a
date.
lot
Yeah,
of.
where the three owners are all us.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Us.
Us, right.
And then you go back, the other one is SAD.
That's right, I don't
Right.
think you need
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's not gonna,
Okay, so
anybody
only-
buying the place is not gonna care.
I don't see where anybody would, except for financial.
Right,
A bank isn't gonna care that it was an SAD in a town,
that's right.
because they're gonna have a rule, same as
Right, you gotta
legal
check the box.
foundation, or, that's right, there's a box. Is it a
right,
claim?
is it,
Yes,
Fix it.
sorry.
yeah, right.
It's a warranty, go to step this. You
Yeah,
know what I
right,
mean?
yeah, so,
Can you put a financial cap on it?
We're
No.
getting into, you know, we can spend up to,
no, no,
I say do it.
you do it as a warranty,
Yeah.
but then you gotta ask for the funds.
Just do it as a
You
warranty.
have
I don't think you talk.
Do we have a reserve
we still
account for
have
Abby
Abby
Fowler?
Fowler, we can make a reserve, whatever's left at town meeting. I mean, you
What
have
do we
the
have?
expense account in there.
What do we have in there right now, do you know? About.
I think it's like 5,000 or 6,000.
I'm
You got
not
it.
worried about it at all. Let's just do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it right. And who knows?
Wait a
Maybe sell
minute, did
it.
you say something? We're gonna do it right?
Yeah, we're gonna try
From the
that.
start? I was just
We're gonna
checking.
try.
I want to hear it again.
We're
I
gonna
just.
try.
not
but it's
used to that.
interesting that Becky said, you know, her wording was to issue a quick claim deed. But maybe that's because we took it back as a quick claim.
I think
Well,
what she
she-
wanted
no,
was
no, she-
specificity.
Okay.
Right, she had told
Okay.
me you need to make sure you designate one or the other.
I wouldn't even have thought to put the type of deed in there. I would have just said permission to take it back.
And permission to sell it.
Right, but she
My only
was,
concern is I would hate to go through all of this and to move this forward, to sell that property, to find out.
Then you
30
go back to
seconds-
legislative
yeah,
body.
30 seconds before we're gonna sign a piece of paper. Oh,
Right,
it's a
that we
clear
have to-
claim?
and all of a sudden they don't approve the warrant. Oh,
Let's just do it.
we're about to get
First of all.
authority to sell this thing. Let's make it easy to sell it.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And
I
that's
like
the
that.
selling point.
Is
Alright.
it warranty or warranted? I think it's,
I think it's a T.
It's a Y.
It's a Y, yeah.
Warranty deed
A
It's a
warranty
warranty.
deed. Yeah,
with a Y.
yeah.
Thank you. So, that's pretty cool. We've chopped this thing down. It's gonna fit on a
Down
Mm-hmm.
4.
3x5 car.
alright, so I will make these changes
Okay.
and then you have to have a motion to accept.
Oh,
When you get back, we'll make a motion.
no. Good.
Would help if I actually took my list of corrections.
Delete, and delete.
Yep.
Well, I'm glad we did this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Very, very good. It's cleaner and neater.
Yep, it'll be a lot
Yep.
clearer for the
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah. And going forward with the rec department, do we need to have a conversation with them as far as they, yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's the other, once we move this forward, everything needs to be budgeted.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
Yep.
all gonna fall under the one budget.
yeah.
One thing working on this warrant taught me is how money moves. Because we had a couple of meetings and it seemed like, well, the money's there, it's already been approved. Well, no, that's not how money moves. And this process really,
And I
Yeah.
think it's not gonna be part of the article, but that, even at town, when we have this meeting, that's gonna come out,
yep. Yep.
so everybody can publicly be on this.
Actually, this is all very timely. I think it's good.
Good. I have a question. Just a question for you. All this paper, what do you go home and put it in a 3-ring binder and keep,
Some of it I have, some of it I have,
Do-
like, I have a grade book file.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, I'm just getting overwhelmed with, because I.
Most of it though, I print it up so that we can all reference
Right.
it at the same time.
Right, and I typically
discard
print it before I come,
Yeah.
so then I end up with 2 by the time
That's why
I'm
I
here.
do not, like
Print.
that, do not, I look at it on my phone, As far as our agendas and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
the email.
and you don't print
I
them.
don't print it because a lot of times it'll change before you get here.
Yeah, okay.
And then you end up with your copy.
Which
the
is
new copy.
different, right, okay, all right, that's good. Because it's just, you know, you end up with so much paper at home.
No, you really have to figure out
How?
what you might want to save and what you might want to save to let you fire with.
Well, and once you've got some closures, like you can throw your
Yeah, yeah.
grant road file away now, the gate's
Right.
gone, so you can toss that.
The gate's gone?
Yep.
That's what I heard. I didn't write down and look.
I haven't looked either, but Irving told me that the gate was gone.
Yeah.
So
How come nobody told me?
Oh,
Actually, I just found out.
I found out 2 days ago.
You didn't tell me.
yeah, Mr. Dr. is it Andrews?
He must have moved it.
Dr. Andrews.
I guess.
Well, honestly, we have no idea who moved it.
No, we don't. Actually, that's true. It may not be.
May not really want to talk much about it.
I know.
No.
It's not. I was informed it's not there, and I was taking it by.
I
word
just
of mouth.
assumed he moved it, but I don't know that. But there hasn't been a complaint lodged. Have you been?
That it was stolen or anything
Right, no, I
like
haven't heard
that.
anything like that.
We ought to ask Lois that.
Irving was the one that discovered it. He called me. We were talking about this warrant, and I said, I heard a rumor that that gate was gone. He said, yeah. He said, I'm the one that notified the Armstrongs. So,
Oh.
When
Wow.
Irvin told me that the other day, and I told him, I said, because after the whole thing with the Grant Road and everything, and I had a conversation with Mr. Armstrong, and by the end of the conversation, one thing that he said he would like to do is meet with Senator Paul Davis and talk about the verbiage of gates, you know, on easements and things like that. And I told him that I thought that was a really good idea because it'll fix this problem, might fix another problem for us down the road, and a lot of other people if we could just get some of that verbiage clarified. And to let me know, and I would definitely be, like to help with that or be a part of it. So when he said that to me the other Thursday, I think it was, about the gate, and then that's what I told him. I said, well, if you talk to the Armstrongs, I really hope, even though the gate's not there, that they still want to move that forward and
Right.
try to get that clarified. So.
Right.
they're not alone.
I'm
Wow.
surprised that the municipal wouldn't put on some sort of
It's
a learning session for you guys. not to-
well, it's a mess. These roads,
Roadworks.
public easements, public easements. The old way was a lot easier. Where you
Just sit at
it
the end of
reverted
the
back
road
to
with a
your,
shotgun.
reverted back to the property owner.
You
Yeah.
sit there with your shotgun, you said?
At the end of the road with my shotgun and my German Shepherd.
Here's the new
Does it
version.
bite? Yep.
And I shoot.
So,
Okay.
how would you like this motion, Lois?
Let's just read them all. The ones that we changed is 5, 6, right?
5, yeah, and 9, 8. We just made warranty deed.
Oh, I see that.
So Article 5, see if the town vote to approve adding the Wells property approved to purchase by the town vote of March 29, 2014, annual town meeting to be established Veterans Memorial Park. That's good.
Yeah, that's much cleaner.
Perfect.
Article 6, to see if the town will vote to accept the donations in the total amount of $83,1813 received by the town between September 3rd, 2015 and June 26, 2017, and designated specifically for the multi-purpose field at the Sangerville Veterans Memorial Park Field and the gazebo project, and appropriate those donations to the recreation reserves and the gazebo reserve funds to offset costs associated with the Park Rec Committee projects of the same names, and authorize the Board of Selectmen to accept future donations designated for the same projects and to appropriate those donations to the recreation reserves and gazebo reserve funds as applicable.
That's a mouthful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The only thing there that I don't like is /field.
You want me to take that Fields?
Yeah,
Yeah, because we,
If we name it the Sangerville.
Mm,
I think everything going forward should be
Well,
that.
before you.
yeah,
you
let's
want-
finish, just to
Yeah.
make sure.
So you're just gonna, we're gonna,
And then you only gotta make one copy at the end for us to sign, right?
So that 83, 18, 13 was for the multi-purpose field?
And
Okay.
various donations. And what we're doing is we're freeing them up as they come into the future, so we won't have to do this.
Do this, okay.
this will eliminate all of this manual, everybody keeping track of it. It's gonna come in, we will approve it, we will move it into reserve at that time.
Yep.
Okay,
You wanna take 7?
sure. To see, Article 7, to see if the town will vote to accept the gift of the building and lot known as the Abbey Fowler School Building and Lot from the Sangerville Historical Society, being the same premises described in the deed from the town of Sangerville to the Sangerville Historical Society, which is recorded at the Piscataquis County Registry of Deeds in Book 2300, page 82, dated April 24, 2014. The Board of Selectmen is authorized to accept a quitclaim deed on behalf of the town.
Did Becky write that too? Okay. Because I said the deed again, so. Okay. And that's all we're gonna get. from
Well,
the
I had to
Historical
choose
Society.
quick claim or warranty. She didn't know. She had just left.
Right, but if that said warranty, the Historical Society would have to get it for us, which we're not gonna do that.
No, and plus,
But either
Plus
way,
we solve the
we're
problem,
paying
on
because
it.
we're gonna fix it.
But we've already paid for a quit claim, so there's no sense to go backwards and
Right.
redo this deed to get the next deed.
Okay. All good. All right, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to sell the Abbey Fowler building and lot by such means and for such amount as the board deems in the town's best interest after receiving recommendations from the Abbey Fowler Advisory Committee and to issue a warranty deed to the buyer. I like it all.
That's
So the only thing we want to strike is field?
It's the only thing I see.
yeah,
Okay.
Set with the rest of it.
and designated specifically.
Short and sweet.
And
2 for 2.
2 for 2. That Article 6 is a lot longer than I'd like it to be, but I think it has to be kind of what it is.
It is
It's,
long.
yeah, it's kind of a
But it-
basket.
Yeah,
So when you have somebody in the audience ask you to put that in, a real brief and easy sentence, are you gonna be able to do that?
Well, I think the way the process works, I think there's a discussion period.
Okay.
So people get to talk about this, and we can talk, the town manager can talk, and other people are recognized they can speak.
right,
And so that's when you would kind of vet
explain.
the ramifications of this, I guess.
Right, right.
Well,
So-
even that, even when the article's written, you're gonna get a motion, it's gonna get seconded, and then it's open to the floor for a discussion.
Right.
Right then.
I don't think these articles can be amended, but I'm not sure of that. You got to check on the Robert's rules, but I know, like, I don't know if somebody could say, I want to amend Article 6 to remove.
You don't think they can be amended at the town meeting?
I think they have to go in their form, yay or nay,
Right.
but I'm not positive on that.
If it's a financial, then you can lessen.
You can lower the number,
Well, you can lower the financial burden.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
but you can't add to it.
I
Right,
believe that is, we'll have to see if,
But that's not so much specific to this, it's
Right.
the process, and you need to review Robert's rules.
so that's what's interesting about the,
you're good
I
with it.
thought the chair was equal.
we
That's
are.
why I can delegate that job to you.
But what's interesting though, when you go to the school board budgetary process, their articles can be increased or decreased,
Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
whereas ours get decreased. So,
Unless you leave it an open-ended article. If you don't put a dollar amount in the article,
correct. Then
you can pick any amount you want.
Oh,
So the question of why we got onto this
Whether-
sidetrack conversation, can any of these, as these are written, can these, I guess it'd be mainly these 6, well, no, even the other ones with the deed issues, can they be amended at the meeting?
by the legislative body.
So could the town say,
Can they amend them?
like number 8, I'm just picking that because it's an easy one. We
Right.
could read number 8, you get a motion, you get a second, open for discussion, And then what if somebody says, well, you're bringing it back to the town's a quick claim deed, we just want to do a quick claim, not a warranty. Can they change warranty to quick claim at the meeting? Or would they have to move
I'm
that
not sure
forward?
on that.
That,
I
but,
think we
But I
need
can
to-
find out.
well, you can't,
want to.
yes, that's why I say you need to research Robert's rules.
Right.
Because this pertains to any legislative meeting. And it's not that we would necessarily
Right.
change this, but it would be good to know so you could be prepared. Because there are other little tactics.
Amendments
There
that
are
could
ways
be
to
made.
delay these. You
Yeah.
can table it indefinitely. It'll just disappear. And
Yeah.
sometimes you'd be better off doing that than ending up with a vote that you don't want. Okay, so we really should have
Look
some
into that.
understanding of the process, and I'm not.
Well, don't you
I don't have a
use
clue.
main moderator's manual?
Yes, we do.
Not Robert's rules.
Well, didn't we
Ah.
adopt that at the beginning here?
Yeah,
Adopted main
No.
main
Okay.
moderator's
main
manual
moderator.
Okay, that's a lot simpler.
is, yeah, I
Yeah.
would imagine.
Paul's gonna know too.
Yes.
Yeah,
You don't think so?
no, not always. Paul, only because, the only reason why I say that is because I've been to a lot of I know at the school board level, at their meetings, he relies a lot on Paul Stearns.
Oh.
Paul Stearns, he knows all these rules right there.
Well, and a lot of
I'm
it,
sure
And Paul Davis is very good, I'm not saying he doesn't, but
but,
a lot of these little loopy things, you know what I mean?
yeah, no, they could, you could haul the manual out. And they could discuss,
Oh, yeah.
So,
I've seen that before.
yep.
yeah,
And there's nothing we can do to avoid that. It'd be good to have an understanding of what could happen, that's all. And I will do some
me
research.
too.
And we'll
compare our
noodle
notes.
it. Yeah, just so
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
It's good to know that, going forward.
Did we have a motion that I missed?
No?
No.
So I make a motion that we accept the town warrant as written.
I'll second it.
No further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much for doing this today,
So
everyone.
was this your first vote to accept the warrant? Okay, so all the other ones that you've been working on were draft?
Yeah.
Okay.
Initial at the bottom of the first page, sign the second page.
And that was just exciting.
Yeah,